Hello, and welcome to Your Vote Counts, a public service program for the May 19th primary election that's being produced by Capital Community Media, which is a multimedia center that provides local content, education, and a platform for diverse community voices in the greater Salem area. And the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk counties, a nonpartisan political organization advocating for voter rights, government transparency, and public election education. All candidates for the position of Senate District 11 were invited. The candidates were asked to prepare a 2-minute opening statement telling about themselves, their qualifications, and why they chose to run for the office. I'm Bernadine Anderson, your moderator from League of Women Voters, and today I would like to introduce Virginia Stapleton to share her opening remarks.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight to meet with you every time that we have, and I thank you for taking the time to interview all of us and get this information out to the public. I am Virginia Stapleton. I am a lifelong resident here in the Salem-Keizer area, and I was born into a very large family. I have 11 brothers and sisters, and in that upbringing, my parents really focused on us being able to see the needs around us and be able to respond to those. And so when you have a large family, service is really the name of the game. And so I grew up having that eye to see the needs and that confidence to step out and be able to fill the need that I see around me. And I've been doing that ever since. My husband and I bought our first home in Englewood a long time ago, I believe 20 years ago, and I've been serving in our neighborhood ever since, whether that's at the school, at Englewood Elementary, on the school board's budget committee, and then as I looked out around me on the neighborhood and saw the needs in our transportation system, I started advocating for that at our city council. And that got me in contact with local politics here, and I was asked to run for city council, won, and served for 4 years, 2 of those as council president. And it was a really challenging time during Salem's history during that time. We had a lot of unhoused neighbors on our downtown streets, and we had an increasing death count every single year on our streets. And those were 2 areas that I really focused in on while I was on city council, our housing crisis and also our transportation system. And those 2 things are universal across the state, and it is one of the things that I want to take with me as I go to the Capitol and serve as the senator for Senate District 11. And when I'm out on the doors, that's what I'm hearing from people, right? A real concern about our housing crisis, the cost of living, and how that impacts the housing crisis as well. And then, of course, transportation and the transportation needs that we see around us. So I'm really excited to be running and taking that experience that I had on Salem City Council all the way to the Capitol and really stepping up and speaking out for residents of Salem, Keizer, Woodburn, and Jervis, and doing the hard work of leading a courageous, being a courageous leader and living from an authentic place.
Thank you for that information and getting acquainted. The questions for our candidate today were developed in collaboration with AAUW and with League members. Candidates did not receive the questions ahead of the interview. The candidates' responses to the individual questions will not be timed. Now, let's give candidate Stapleton an opportunity to address these questions of concern to our community. Our first question today: what budget challenges remain despite higher revenue amounts that are coming from corporate taxes?
Oh, there is a lot of issues with revenue in the state of Oregon. I think the biggest issue that we have is that it is a very unfair system that we are operating under. And my experience on the school board's budget committee and again on the Salem City Council really lead me to how we are helping our local governments support the community at hand. And that is, leads us all back to 5 and 50, measures 5 and 50, and the kicker and all of those different things that have created an environment that makes it really challenging for local governments to meet the needs of their community. So I believe that there is a lot of work to do on this issue, and I think that somebody who has had my experiences in life have a lot to offer in the room, and I want to make sure that we get a broad array of folks who are impacted by these decisions around the table and talking about how we want to move forward as a community. What services do we need to let go of? Historically, we've done a lot. Are there things we need to let go of in order to meet those budget constraints? And is there ways that we want to restructure our tax system so that it's fair for everyone, and make sure that we are really meeting the needs of the community in the local areas, whether that's emergency response or our education for our kids? There's a lot of need out there, and I want to be somebody who is being courageous and having those tough conversations, but having as many voices around the table as possible so that we are making good legislation as we move forward.
Thank you. Our second question today. Federal cuts have been made. Pick and describe the impacts on 2 areas of essential services.
Yeah, the top 2 essential services that I'm hearing that are being negatively impacted by the federal cuts that I'm hearing about from folks on the doors is access to health care and education. Those are the top 2 concerns that I hear about on the doors, and I want to make sure that we are really working hard to preserve those services for our community. I am especially concerned about rural Oregon, whether that's in Eastern Oregon or along the coast, when it comes to healthcare access. Birthing centers, cancer treatments, those are all very important as we move forward. And I think that there is so much we can do to help alleviate the stress of whether those are going to be cut or lost to people. There's a lot of fear around that, and that's no way to live a life. So I want to be somebody who comes in and really does the best I can to make sure that services are secure for people across the entire state. And a huge issue that I hear about repeatedly, especially with our young people and our parents in the district, is mental health care access. That is something that I want to fight really hard to preserve and expand, because what we have right now is unacceptable.
Thank you. Our third question today. What is the status of Oregon's unemployment rate, and do you have a future forecast?
Well, that is a tough question for me to answer, especially when I have been in campaign land for so long. But I do know that it is unacceptable, the rate that it's at, because I hear from people, especially in the unions, that talk to me a lot about the folks who are out of work and wanting to build, especially from the trades. And so I know that we have work to do there. And I know that there is a lot of work that we can do in our housing area, where we're talking about 2 different areas that are kind of colliding, whether it's getting good union jobs out there and providing housing for people in Senate District 11 and across the state. So a lot of work that needs to be done there. I'm hearing from folks where we are cutting at different school districts. So I know that people are hurting. I know that jobs are being reduced or positions are going unfilled. And that means a strain across the entire rest of the employees that are working. And so whether that's in the private sector or public sector, I understand that, and I want to be able to create jobs and make sure that they're good union jobs, and that really feeds back into our community and builds us a stronger base for the community at large.
Thank you. What do you think is happening with firearms safety legislation, mm-hmm. and has the timeline for implementation changed in any way?
Yeah, this is a frustration for me. I think a lot of folks remember voting on this measure, and they remember it passing just barely. But we thought we had done our work as voters. We had spoken our piece, and a lot of people I talk to think that has been implemented and is off the ground. And we all know that that is not true, that it has been tied up in the courts, and it's been a really frustrating move forward on this area. I really want to respect the will of the voters. I am somebody who is supportive of those measures, and want to make sure that it's implemented. And as far as I'm concerned, it's taken too long, and we need to do more to make sure that it is implemented and that people can trust that their vote matters, and that when they speak, that's what happens.
Our next question. What is your opinion on birthright citizenship and its place in Oregon?
I feel very strongly about this topic. This is part of what makes America America. Our immigrants and birthright citizenship is a staple in my mind, and needs to be fought for and defended here in the state of Oregon, but also across the whole nation. Something I'm very, very passionate about.
What are the issues regarding Oregon agriculture, and what do you propose to address them?
That is a very broad question, a very, very broad question. I grew up in the country, and my husband grew up even further out in the country with a couple thousand acre grass seed farm out in Perrydale. And so I have a heart for our ag industry and want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to help support them. There is so many different issues across the state. I know that water is a huge concern for many farmers across the entire state, whether that's here in the Valley, but also in Eastern Oregon. And so I know that that's an issue, again, that's not going to be popular or easy. None of this is easy, right? Mm-hmm. And we need courageous leaders who are willing to have those tough conversations and meet with folks from varying political ideals and ideas, and get everybody around the table and try to come up with the best path forward for that. I think that there is, again, we've talked a lot about mental health care here today, but that is also a concern for our farming industry, especially in Eastern Oregon, something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but something that I know to be true. So there's lots of different ways that we can help reach our farmers and help support them. Making sure that we protect farmland is another really important aspect in my belief, as far as how we live in relationship with farming in more of our urban areas. Making sure that we protect that farmland is really important, and hearing what they're struggling with, and trying to find ways that we can help meet the needs there as well.
Thank you. Closely related question. Food security issues have arisen due to the loss of federal monies. So how can we adjust the budget to account for this?
Yeah, I was really struggling a couple years ago when our local legislature was funding, some sporting ventures here locally, but not meeting the need of our local food pantry. And I thought that those two things were at odds with each other. I thought that the funding for our local food bank is really paramount right now, and that other things what would be nice to have could maybe wait until another time. Making sure that people have food and who are struggling with food insecurity know that they can count on their state to make those good decisions that really prioritize the basic needs of our community. That's something that I'm going to be really passionate about. I know that just from the last couple of years, the need has gone through the roof, and we as a state need to do everything we can to help support those food banks, doing the hard work out in the community and meeting the needs, and making sure that they feel supported, and that in turn they are supporting our community. They are the boots on the ground, so to speak, and the last line of defense, and making sure that those people know that they are supported, and that people's basic needs are top of mind for their political leaders is really important.
Our last question for today. Do you have an area of concern that would maybe require a new law or a revision of a current one?
Oh, that is a good question. I think that one of the top things that I would like to see done in my district, and hopefully in my first term, would be the creation of a capital district here in Salem. This is something that we have been aiming for quite a while now, and that would be to help support the funding for the city of Salem with one of their fire and EMS stations. This would be $2 to $3 million a year. That would be a payment in lieu of taxes. The city of Salem loses out on about $7 million a year that is lost in property taxes to the state, having a lot of property owned here in the city of Salem, and that directly impacts the ability for them to meet the needs of their community and to meet the needs of the state buildings. And so that is probably one of the top things that I want to see accomplished in this time that I am a senator here.
Thank you. Now we invite candidate Stapleton to share her closing remarks and your public contact information.
Thank you so much. It's always a delight to talk to you, and it's a delight to be able to reach folks at home through this medium. So, yes, I am thrilled to be running to be your next state senator for District 11, and we are having a joyous time. I think democracy should be fun. I think we've lost track of that over the years, but we are having fun out on the doors, and we've talked to almost 5,000 different doors here in our district already, and we have a lot more to go. And that has been an amazing experience to hear firsthand from people what they're struggling with, what they need from their leaders, and I'm ready to be that leader for them. And my connection with them is only growing stronger over the years of service and dedication to this area. I am thrilled. If people want to reach out to me, it is at electvirginiastapleton.com. That is my website. Lots of information there on my priorities, on my history, and there's even upcoming events and everybody who has endorsed me so far. Really, really proud of the work that we have done, and I hope that everybody takes the time to go on there and check it out. I would love to have them follow me online on the socials, tune in and stay tuned to what we're doing here with the Virginia Stapleton for Senate District 11 campaign.
Thank you. Thank you, candidate Virginia Stapleton for Senate District 11, for our interview today and for sharing your thoughts. Thanks to Capital Community Media for their production and technology skills, to our community groups that provided questions and topics, and to you, the public, for watching this program in order to become an informed voter. You have until April 28th to vote, to register to vote or make changes to that registration. Watch for your ballot in your mailbox beginning on April 29th. Remember to vote. Vote early before May 19th, especially if you are mailing in your ballot. For more state, local, national voter election information on candidates and ballot measures, visit vote411.org after April 15th when the data will be posted. Elections matter. Remember to vote because your vote counts.